What we are witnessing right now is an all call from God to say, get your act together. Everything that we're seeing is spiritual. When you stop for just a moment and you begin to unpack everything that's going on in Silicon Valley, listen, for every fact I've shared with you, there's hundreds and hundreds of them I have not talked to you about. What I would love to do with each and every single one of you, I would love to educate you with what I know, with the analysis of the market, and start to look at charts where you begin to see market reaction. You look at the stochastics, you begin to see long-term projections. You start using Fibonacci numbers, I just butchered his name, to determine calculations for projections in the future. Folks, every indicator that we get is showing us of what's happening. We're seeing many instances of Revelation chapter 6 happening all over the place. It is the beginning of an economic collapse, the likeliness that the world has never seen. Guys, you understand that when the Great Depression happened in the early 1920s into the 30s, when that whole thing happened, a lot less happened to the banking system than what we've been seeing in recent days. A lot more capital involved, a lot more damage is happening now without the results that we saw in the 1920s. That's because there's a lot of mechanisms put in place. That's because, ready for this, digital management of currency regulation. They're going into this, folks. This is happening. They are going into digital currency. My thing is this. I want you to pay attention to the spiritual. So the first call, the first thing that I want to bring to your attention is get your homes in order. I know that lots of guys in the ministry, some guys listen to me, others don't. But for the ones that do, especially for those of you that need to get your lives right, repent. My first call out is to the spiritual leaders. Get right with God. My next call is to all of you guys, you warriors. Get your homes in order. Now, don't get me wrong. You need to be prepared. I'm going to make an assertion that most people don't understand, nor will they ever understand until they understand the facts of what I'm saying. And that's this. You will never be able to prepare in the physical if you are not prepared in the spiritual first. You can do all you want to save up your beans, your food, your money. You can buy gold coins. You can do all that stuff. None of it will matter if you are not ready spiritually. The first call is to get ready spiritually. If your house is not in order, we have a bigger problem on our hands. A much more bigger problem. It's time to get right with the Lord, folks. That's the all call. That's what's supposed to happen. If we don't do that, we're in bigger trouble than we think. Here's the last thing I want to say. Everything that you are watching right now, I'm going to say it one more time. Everything that you are watching right now are all indicators of the heightened spiritual activity that's taking place that very few people want to acknowledge or very few people want to recognize. The spiritual activity that is happening right now is all the very thing that's contributing to the destruction that we're seeing around us. And until we recognize that, we're in big trouble. It's time to get it right, folks. The only thing that I can say is this. This is a precursor to something much bigger. By the way, this is different from what happened in the Great Depression. This is different from what happened in the 70s. This is different from what happened in 87. This is much different from what happened in 2008. What we are seeing right now is the beginning of a systemic collapse that we are not going to be able to deal with unless the spiritual is corrected. Time to get our hearts, our minds, and our heads straight, folks. Christ could come at any moment. And until we get the horizontal put aside as a secondary only to the vertical, we're going to be in big trouble. We've got to put the Lord first. It's that simple.